Windows 11 was released on 5th of October 2021, and ever since then, Microsoft is slowly forcing their users onto it. Not to mention these pop-ups all over the operating system begging me to upgrade to Windows 11. Then why haven't I and many other users not upgraded to Windows 11? Before we move on, the majority of this video can be consumed in audio form as well. So if you have any work to do, feel free to do it while listening. Reason number 1, system incompatibility. Well, believe it or not, a lot of tech and non-tech savvy people actually want to upgrade to Windows 11, but there's one roadblock: the system requirements. Microsoft has some very harsh system requirements. There are two main system requirements that most systems can't meet. It's the CPU and the TPM. Microsoft CPU requirements include at least an 8th gen Intel processor or a 3rd gen Ryzen CPU. To be honest, there are a lot of people who have an i7 6th gen or even an i5 3rd gen. Even older Intel and AMD CPUs still are good and usable to this day. I personally use an i5 3570 and it's working greater than ever. But Microsoft is going to shove those system requirements down our throats. Secondly, the TPM requirements. Microsoft says you need at least a TPM 2.0 chip for quote-unquote increased security. But I think that's bullshit. Microsoft quote-unquote said Windows 11 is redesigned for hybrid work and security with built-in hardware-based isolation, proven encryption, and our strongest protection against malware. But to be honest, 90% of the people won't even know and won't even use BitLocker, and Windows 11's Defender isn't even that big of an improvement from Windows 10. The system requirements are the main reason, but a lot of people will say, oh hey, just bypass the requirements and upgrade to Windows 11. But there is a problem to that too. Most programs will work as expected, but there are some games and game anti-cheats that mainly won't work on an unsupported Windows 11 copy. The most popular one is Valorant. Game anti-cheats basically blacklist Windows 11 systems without a TPM to be fraudulent. I mean, that kind of makes sense, as a lot of game anti-cheats have to have a high bar so that cheaters don't get in, but it just annoys me when such games that I play don't work. Reason number 2, performance. Windows 11 is literally a memory hog. If you boot up a fresh install of Windows 11 on an 8GB RAM system, you will realize that the half of the RAM is already being used by the operating system itself. Plus, if you check Windows 11 CPU usage, you will notice that the background processes at idle with a fresh install of Windows 11 nears 200 processes. Plus, we have the SSD debate. Windows 10 is ultra laggy on a hard disk drive of any kind and is somewhat usable on a SATA SSD, but Windows 11 is straight up unusable on a hard disk drive, and using a SATA SSD feels like using a hard drive on Windows 10. Almost 70% of the people I've talked to have reported performance issues after upgrading to Windows 11 from Windows 10. Next up, bloat. When Windows 10 was released, it was already notoriously known for its bloatware in the start menu and unnecessary tips and tricks in the whole operating system. Windows 10 already collects a lot of data from their users, but Windows 11 is on a whole new level. In Windows 10, you could bypass the requirement to use a Microsoft account by either removing internet access during setup or by using a pro version of Windows 10. While in Windows 11, you are forced to connect to the internet during setup and are hence forced to use a Microsoft account whether you like it or not. I simply hate OneDrive. Every time you set up Windows 11 or Windows 10, OneDrive literally takes hostage of all your files, and those files just disappear from the pictures folder and you have to go digging in the users folder just to find them. Not to say that the Microsoft's AI bloat sucks. In Windows 10, Microsoft introduced Cortana, which was useless, but I'm glad they discontinued that. But now in Windows 11, you have useless widgets, unnecessary search suggestions, and weather and news widgets that you will never use. Not to mention the new addition of Copilot and Microsoft Edge being shoved down your throats. Now let's talk about why Windows 10 is still good and can be used in the future even after the end of support. So, what are my choices? Well, since Windows 7 and 8.1 are discontinued, I can't use them, mainly because a lot of programs and apps just straight up don't support older versions of Windows anymore. Other option that I have is Linux. Well, now a lot of you will say, what about Atlas OS or Revi OS? They claim to fix all the issues with Windows 10 and 11. Well, about that, Atlas OS is great, no doubt. I personally used both Atlas and Revi OS on my system, and I liked Atlas OS more, but the main problem I had with both of them was the breaking of almost everything in the Windows operating system. Atlas OS did improve the performance of my Windows 10 system and fixed almost all the problems I had with Windows 11. Yet Atlas OS just can't bypass the TPM requirement of Valorant and other game anti-cheats, and Windows Update was disabled, so plug-and-play devices won't straight up work. During my Atlas OS usage tenure, I was using a NAS which wasn't working because Atlas OS apparently disables network and file sharing. And syncing between two PCs doesn't work with Atlas and Revi OS. No doubt Atlas OS is great for performance, but only if you have your usage only towards gaming. Plus my printers just don't work with Atlas OS. Now a lot of you guys in the comments will say, hey, Atlas OS has the option to enable the printer service, but even after I enable that printer service, it just simply refuses to work. So what's the conclusion? Well, I'd still have to be using Windows 10 even after the October 2025, but it isn't even that bad. Both Windows 10 and Windows 11 run on the same Windows NT kernel 10, which means that if programs keep supporting Windows 11, they will also keep supporting Windows 10. So even after 2025, we can just install a third-party antivirus and continue using Windows 10 for free. But for a paid solution, Microsoft offers extended support for 3 years, but it's pricey. First year will be $61, second year will be $122, and third year will be $244. But I have a free solution. You know Windows 10 LTSC? Yeah, we can just install Windows 10 LTSC and pirate a license for it, and it'll be supported till 2032. Yeah, but I'm not promoting any privacy on my channel. It's your wish. Thanks for watching, guys. Drop a like, please subscribe, and also let me know your thoughts on Windows 11 in the comments down below. Till then, peace out.